team, and against a lot of top laners, you actually can get away with that.
Yeah.
Right? You can play a matchup where you're supposed to kind of get bullied, but you're playing into the, you know, keen, regular season keen, notwithstanding, best top laner within the LCK. So it is always going to be tough. Does need to clean up the laning phase, though, because I do agree. It's funny that he got solo killed twice and still Zeus was like the least likely POG angle
yeah.
because it didn't actually end up mattering that much.
I think maybe he was fourth. I think Keria might have... He whoopsied a few of the engages.
Yeah, he had like some...
But the Devour was really good, though.
He had some good Devours and like
yeah.
it was just a T1 team effort, really, as the Corki will this time get banned away. Understand that they don't really want to just blind that. And otherwise, T1 have shown that they are extremely happy to just pick that up early. Ashe actually getting back on the ban list here, which to me signals that maybe KT is looking for an early pickup of that Lucian. That has been very good at it.
Is up and available for one of the first times. But Melio
can do both.
Yeah. Melio first pick, something we were calling for all yesterday with the Lucian first picks running amok. Something that we don't necessarily like. This also is a bit of a step away from what Beryl has been doing in the last two games, which has been engaged duty. See who's going to be on that for this next game. As Lucian, Nami could be the answer. We've seen that many, many times. The Aphelios Melio, I believe, lost into the matchup for the very first time yesterday. But it was 4-0.
And Nami is the expected next champion to be locked in, probably on third rotation here. But in second rotation, or rather second pick, Orianna makes a ton of sense. Orianna's biggest difference into the Azir, which is the obvious counter pick, is that her early laning phase is extremely oppressive for Azir. So while you in theory are able to skill very nicely alongside her, in practice we often see that teams bleed a lot of money. Now this is BDD, so I would not be surprised if he says, I don't care, I will pick my pigeon.
Yes.
Syndra is another pick that we have seen come up a little bit, but not going to be the case. It is just going to be BDD going back to his, by a large margin, most played. And KT, good pivot. I think they have the right call after what was it feels like unnecessary risks taken in draft.
I would say so. Although the Corki just being available to be picked is a large problem.
Yeah, but I do think that that one is a little bit more excusable.
Am I being affected by yesterday too much?
Maybe. And
I had bad dreams.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy Corki's banned. Let me put it that way. But I do think that part, I'm like, okay, but then the Xayah immediate follow-up and then Vi into... There was a lot. The Akali, I don't want to get into it again, but we saw what happened. We saw what it led to.
It was a negative experience on Summoner's Rift. We're going to have a final ban come through here. The Udyr taken away from Perfect. Not going to be able to default back to that one. He could try to go for a Cassante if he wants to. He has been defaulting to that quite a lot. I imagine that you could even counterpick for jungle if you would like to on T1 side and just blind the Cassante. We saw even with Perfect having the opportunity to counterpick it, it did not work out even a little bit. So a lot of options as the Jax is going to be taken away as well. One final ban, possibly aimed against Oner once more.
Yeah, it looks like a R4 Cassante here. Doesn't really give anything away. Zeus has shown that he's very comfortable with a lot of the counters that are being played. Maybe Perfect's going to pull out something crazier, because that might be the one angle that you do have, right? Try to really catch Zeus off guard with a matchup he hasn't played nearly as much, because Cassante versus Gwen, obviously, you're going to have played and scrimped a million times. Now, as far as ball delivery systems go, Rel is still a top tier 1. We do see the Nocturne and Jarvan both being banned away, and it is going to be the counter pick still for Zeus. As Oner says, I will just pick Rel again, I guess. It is not fun, but I am extremely strong at this champion.
And now,
I'll make it work.
Optimally, I would be saying Xin Zhao Rumble is just so good here. That's where my brain would go immediately.
I wouldn't mind that.
But I don't know about the perfect Rumble situation. So giving him something that's a little bit more comfortable here. The Cassante, most notably, something that he does like to default to. I think, yeah, Rammus is pretty obvious. Weren't you thinking that as well?
No-brainer, really.
Yeah.
Viego is a pick that Pioshik has already pulled out in the series as well. I imagine he's going to go to something with a decent amount of early agency, because otherwise this comp is really relying on hitting like a mid-game Xin Zhao would be great as well. You already mentioned it. I think Xin Zhao with a Milio is always going to feel great. It's a nice aggressive pick that can get you through some of these more dangerous early games. And actually think that with the Jax ban, there would have been maybe some...
Oh god, okay.
Yeah, that's not going to be a fun time for Perfect. It already has not been, but it's about to be even less fun. T1, evergreen comp, we've seen them play this comp like a million times.
That Aatrox lock-in hit like a punch in the gut. It really did. You know, often K'Santes can have an okay time into the Aatrox, but we've seen what Zeus can do when he smells blood in the water, when he is on a champion like this. Perfect really could be in for it here. We'll see whether Pyosik is going to try and help him out, or whether he is once again going to be left on that island trying to do his very best to just survive. I think T1 have a very well-rounded composition, spikes very hard in that mid-game, and then allows you to control later-game teamfights utilizing the shockwaves with the added CC that they can layer on top of each other. Nice-looking composition. This time around, though, it is not a clear-cut draft win.
It's playable.
It is absolutely playable, except in the top lane. Nothing to do with the matchup.
We don't talk about top lane. But outside of that, you have, I think, a lot more power in your composition. You're actually really well able to absorb the blow that comes in. The composition of T1 is very short range, but dealing with the mid game is going to be the tough part. If you can get to mid to late with this, and Deft can stay alive in these fights, a lot of damage being soaked by Pyosik and Perfect, there's an angle, but T1 with these type of aggressive mid game comps, I'd be worried.
Absolutely, and the Oner and Faker 1-2 punch is going to be difficult to deal with. Let's jump onto the Rift here for game number 3 of the Telecom War. All right, fans very loud here in a sold-out LOL Park for today's match. Saw a very interesting tweet by Finn earlier on today, which was saying that queuing up for a game of League of Legends here in Korea is often a very quick affair, no matter which league you're in, which division you're in. But when the Telecom War's on, the queue times are extraordinarily long because everyone stops and they watch this match. And that is, it's definitely understandable. And if you watched game 1, you're going to stay to the end because the drama that is starting now as BDD takes a little bit of damage, but that is just a little. As Faker throws an orb over, Gumayusi going to be in this little pixel brush here for a moment. Not going to get any wraparound Melios like we saw from Lehens yesterday. I feel like Lehens and Beryl sort of cut from the same cloth a little bit as far as the gameplay is concerned. You never really know what you're going to get. I think the swings are a little larger for Beryl.
Both ways, absolutely.
Yeah. But not going to go for the craziness this time. And also, we can see that, there's not a Poppy here in this lane anymore. We're not going to see a level 1 where Deft is unable to hit minions. And this time, he may even hit level 2 first, which would be very nice for KT fans.
And looking at both junglers, we have them starting on opposite sides of the map, so Pyosik possibly pathing towards top, and I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to at least give some assistance to Perfect. He's really been struggling in this 1v1, and as we have seen many a time, level 1 with Milio and Thalios is very oppressive, but a sidestep there from Keria doing a good job of absorbing this initial blow, and with a W from Guma, they should be able to clear that wave. Yeah, that was a very satisfying. I was waiting for that.
The good old Ardent Blaze killing 3 minions. That thing barely does any damage. Feels fantastic there for Gumayusi. Taking a bit of extra poke damage and not having very much control of the lane doesn't feel as good. But of course, trying to play for getting all of your buttons. Lucian certainly does benefit from that. Everything feeling very, very needed. As Def pressing Q with Severum. Feeling very, very nice, and they do manage to get the crash. As Pyosik just hoovering up his jungle. Very, very fast. Rel also not a slow jungler at all, but Xin Zhao is certainly capable of getting through there. So both of these junglers going to be finishing at about the same time. It's perfect. Let's have a bit of a check-in here. He's actually kind of doing fine at the moment in this matchup into the Aatrox.
He's not getting dove level 2.
Exactly.
So that's
He's
a
not
big
dead.
Win. Yet.
True.
Yeah, we will see if Pyosik is actually going to pay attention towards the top side. I don't think that either jungler has been spotted yet, as we will now, obviously, Oner showing up with Vision should be able to clear out at least one of the wards with the Vision given by the plants, and then we do have an early Scuttler actually picked up by Oner, whereas Pioshik went for a full clear into back, I think to cover a possible dive here. So this is very nice for Oner. Now they will have the intel that he is in fact not looking for that dive, and we see Pioshik immediately diverting his attention as well. There is a lot of vision towards the bot side of the map, so I don't think a gank is likely to be successful.
Ooh, nice bubble though. Getting his eye in. Keria looking pretty good there as Wind becomes lightning, and Oner taking a bit of damage here as the knock-up should be coming through. There it is. Pioshik doing well, gets through the aftershock as now BDD and Faker also fighting, but another Wind becomes lightning, and there's the flash forward, and it's just a solo kill! All right.
Not bad!
He was swift as a coursing river!
And with that, Pioshik showing again what he has to offer. Faker!
All right, is this another solo kill? There it is, the clockwork, it's winding up, and oh no! Faker almost to the minions! That's why you drink your potions, ladies and gentlemen! And, oh my goodness, it's game one all over again. Let's pretend game two didn't happen, because that was barely a game. And this one's certainly keeping us on our toes. Is Keria and Barrel, what is it, 1v1 Central? We're just 1v1ing over and over again. The Tidecaller blessing Keria here, but he does get Mega Fire kicked. That is going to
There's no flash
stop that
on
one.
Faker.
And he's also extraordinarily low. There's no flash on Pioshik either, as the orb does come in. Pioshik just pushing him away. And remember, BDD is also extraordinarily low. Now a 2v2, as the information of Oner's position is not there. Faker kind of baiting for the moment.
They might have suspicion, though, with Faker still staying around. Wouldn't be surprised if they think Hex Flash is available, though.
Yeah, and there it is. Pioshik does come on through as BDD. Back to his jungler, and now Faker's moved forward. Oner is taking the brunt of this damage for now, though. Dissonance value huge. When becomes lightning, does spot the gap between the two of them. As Oner with his aftershock not taking too much damage, but it is a stalemate in the end, and the intensity is once again fully ramped.
Important sidestep there, well done by BDD and Pioshik. Able to absorb the pressure coming through. Yeah, Pioshik there, when he found Oner, he'd already backed, so he's sitting on double longsword. I think Oner really underestimating the damage that came through was... we're back to ARAM.
Yeah,
just an ARAM.
Now there's a shockwave. Beryl somehow gets caught, but the fire kick is going to get Oner away. Pioshik now dashing forward. The bubble is going to connect, and Faker takes down the jungler. And now Beryl having to get out of there. He may have a campfire, but he doesn't have too much more, and he's still going to get knocked up. There's the ebbs and the flows, and Keria locks down that one as well.
He could have walked to his turret.
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
Right? Like... So this is really well done. You see as well, Faker is trying to move over, but BDD actually is able to stay close, and if Faker walks up too far, he will get killed by Pioshik instead. And Pioshik, really nicely done, just has a ton of damage this early in the game. And whereas Rel can win 2v2s, it's not going to be that. Faker was apparently 1 HP, like not a metaphorical 1 HP on that initial play between him and BDD, and then really good bubble from Keria. And then here I'm like,
yeah, Barrel, you just keep going.
You were fine. You were okay. You were out.
Well,
Barrel.
As it stands, that is going to net T1, about a 1,000 gold lead. Not end of the world or anything for KT, but we see the game continuing down this path. We could, yeah, we could need some help, the two of us. It might just be a little bit too intense. Is Gumayusi going to continue that? Beryl, oh my goodness, just culled. The bubble not going to connect. If that had him, he was most definitely dead. As once again, the battle ensues between the mid laners and the junglers over this control ward. Oh dear. Beryl looking for that back. It's not going to work out here as he almost just dies. And sometimes you get caught back, and they do manage to clear out the vision. So another attempt at going home.
Is this a replay?
Yeah, we're seeing more replays. As Pioshik going to get shockwaved once again. He dashes on top of Faker here, trying to keep himself up, but it does not work. And a Magnet Storm comes through. BDD a little bit late on that one as the bubble is going to get shifted out of the way of. Crash down to come forward. Does he have the Shattering Strike? The answer's no. Not going to opt in for it. They're just going to take their wins. and move on back away. And T1 just taking incremental advantages in this game.
And that looked to me like a really big miscommunication, because Pioshik going that aggressive when BDD has his ultimate does need to lead to them actually committing together.
Yeah.
If they do, then maybe at least they get a counter kill. And as mentioned, the 1v1, Zinzao is always going to win, just has too much sustained damage, and Rel doesn't really offer that much outside of CC. But if you're 2v2 and Faker gets to land a shockwave on Zinzao, especially without ult, as we saw there is plenty of opportunity. And oh, I was about to say, if he steals that away and denies the level 6, that would have been huge. Not going to be the case, but that mid-jungle 2v2, you'd really hope as a KT fan that it would go more the way of Pioshik and BDD, but instead Faker already getting very, very fed early on here.
So he's now ahead by about 600 gold. You can see here on this bottom side as well, Gumayusi Keria doing a decent job getting that money together. They don't even have the double support items either. That is something that Deft and Beryl have already purchased. Just the Noon Quiver done here for Gumayusi. And let's check it out one more time, as we'll see the moment where BDD could have potentially tried to shift on over, as maybe this is the opportunity. Maybe didn't have Conquering Sands for long enough, or something like that.
Might have also been because they already had the knowledge that Keria was roaming up, so an elongated play would have really worked out. But at that point, Pioshik, I think, didn't have flash nor ult, so would not have been able to get out. So maybe they were cutting their losses. We don't know about the comms.
Yeah,
could be the reason. But the big thing is that T1 got a big win out of that, and Faker didn't have to commit any summoner, so still has flash available, which does make it a lot harder for BDD and Pioshik to find a counterplay on this Orianna.
Taken out. Oh, getting swept underneath his turret. BDD finding a good opportunity, gets the flash from the Orianna here. I don't think it's a kill.
No, it's gone.
It's a great play though. Yeah.
Fix the issue.
Beautiful.
Big win.
So Deft now under fire. There's the flash. Magnus Storm crash down coming on through, but Oner not able to lock him down. Red-white guns are pretty good as the culling is blocked here. As Pioshik, right place, right time this time to save his bottom lane. Still, there's not a lot left available. Shockwave does find the air, as Faker now still looking for it onto BDD. Health bars very even, and this orb needs to be respected. BDD gonna have to go back. Does have teleport, as does Faker, as Deft here still has that Crescendum Severum combo. Moonlight Vigil comes down onto Keria just to say, please leave me alone. And now, Oner coming back one more time. The bubble just barely misses, or maybe it landed, and Beryl had the ulti just in time, but we didn't even see the animation. That's how close the timings were. And Zeus getting over the wall. We haven't really checked in on that top side just yet. He is going for the lethality Aatrox that he very much likes, though.
Perfect's improving. Hasn't been solo boloed. Hasn't lost the plate. And we say it jokingly, but honestly, that's as good as you can expect.
Oh, 100%.
When getting counterpicked in this scenario, and given how the first two games played out. Looking at everything that's happened so far, though, there's still a pretty sizable lead for T1. They'll be able to get the Dragon here as well. But as long as KT can get to a mid-game with this type of lead from T1, I think that that's about as much as you can ask for, especially with your early insurance plan of Zinzao not really working out so far. Doesn't solve the issue because there is still a Storm Razor's now done. We have Imperial Mandate for Keria. Faker almost gonna finish his item soon. Same for Zeus. There's a lot of mid-game power that you need to deal with. But I think KT's comp does have the power to, like, if slight overextension comes through, might still be able to make a way through. And KT
not going to find it. BDD good positioning defensively.
Yeah, keep it safe. That's exactly, just absorb the pressure. And in the longer fights, I think that's where you have a shot, especially once Deft gets a little bit further ahead of the curve. They go for the double support item. That could be a difference maker.
Well, Oner is going to take the tempo advantage and turn that into stealing away this red buff. That should be gained here as Beryl throws down a ward. And they're going to meet back towards this bottom side. No plates taken here for KT. T1 getting through quite a few of them. One in bot lane and two in mid. Bubble connects onto Beryl, but he's not too worried about it for the moment. And now Oner looking to try and make another attempt onto BDD. Good positioning from Pioshik as Emperor's Divide misses. And now BDD's going to get punished for it. The Magnus Storm's beautiful. The Shockwave's better. And there is the kill on the Azir. Pioshik will find the knock-up onto Oner. They may not be able to get another one, but still feels like damage has been done. They've just given a kill to the two main players of this KT in game number 1, as Keria could be in trouble, doesn't find the bubble. As the culling is going to be the answer. Moonlight Vigil comes down as Oner is here. Good positioning from him. And we'll see whether they can find some sort of dive. Deft is doing his best to keep them at arm's length. And BDD doesn't have teleport. He's not going to be helping out here, so that should be this turret taking a whole lot of hurt, and they're zoned away from the experience. It's a disaster here for KT bottom lane.
And up until this point, KT still had some semblance of agency, but after that mid lane 2v2 fails, not only do Faker and Oner get further ahead, but immediately Oner paths towards top, or towards bot rather. Faker does a halfway rotation through the jungle as well. So Deft and Barrel now have to give up
2 waves?
2 waves. So many plates going down just before the plate cut off as well. Now the lead, 41 growing to a solid 3k. Luden's companion done here. And still an angle. Again, the team fighting power for KT is something I think we have to hold on to if we want this game to be as fun as game number 1.
So far, looking a little bit more similar to game number 2, but not as bad. You know, not feeling as completely over as that one was, as Faker makes his way down towards this bottom side. A little bit of a disengage there as Beryl feels like he has a target on his back. There is the Crescent Guard. It's going to go wide there as teleports are coming through. Oner might just be dead. There's the knock-up, and in goes Perfect. Can he find Faker as the all-out comes in? Special delivery as he's also fire kick, trying to go even further in. I'm not sure about that one. But I like the gusto from the young man as Infernal Chains. Deft is bubbled, pulled back and destroyed. Double kill for Gumayusi, and T1 once again out on top.
A big misstep there, unfortunately, for Perfect. Goes a little bit too ham. Could have just taken the win. They got the kill, kept their bot lane alive. As we go back to this play, it's just with the movement speed. I actually think it's the movement speed from Rel that allows Faker to get away there, or the movement speed from his speed up, but as a result, he just walks it off.
Yeah.
Right, and without that, no opportunity. Here, Oner goes way too deep, and initially the punish looks amazing from KT. Right, they're able to take down the Rel. Perfect finds Faker, but unfortunately there isn't any follow-up. Only Barrel was close.
Yeah, and Zeus is in position as now Pyoshik is very dead. Super dead. He is going to get stabbed there. Oner is going to be able to collect that kill. And Deft trying to do what he can underneath this turret here, but it is on its last legs. BDD down to 50%, as well as Faker is looking relentless on his Orianna. And KT, it feels like they're circling at this point. It is 4,500 gold the lead here for T1 as BDD once again doesn't find it, but the shockwave goes wide as well. Good sidestep there from BDD. Orb awareness. Something that you certainly need to have as here's the jump scare as good flashes do come on forward, but Beryl, he ain't gonna be so lucky. The culling comes through, and that is going to take down the Melio. Gumayusi still has more though, as bubbles having to be avoided left, right, and center. Deft will take down the last cannon. That should at least abate some of this aggression for now.
T1 with the mid-game explosiveness, really putting a lot of pressure on KT. And it's a very different game. Game number 1 was complete and utter mayhem. Game number 2 was a absolute stomp. Game number 3 feels like there was a couple of plays. This one, not so much. This was just Pyoshik being out of position, trying to take an objective he's not allowed to in the scuttle. But a couple of these plays, if they would have gone just a little bit different, I think KT could have actually had a good shot. Nice sidestep there by BDD, but still there's a lot invested just in keeping him alive, and he still gets the health bars low. So when Oner comes through, they get a free kill. And so much damage is being done to the base, or rather, you know, the whatever is left standing of it for KT.
Faker really taking this game into his own hands here, over double the highest damage being dealt by KT players, as Gumayusi trying to challenge that with a little bit of poke onto Deft here. As him and Keria clearing up the wave. And this is the thing, when T1 gets an advantage like this, they're not fighting just for fighting's sake, they're fighting around enemy objectives. So they managed to get that pick-off kill, but that also leads to an outer turret going down, decent damage on an inner turret at the same time, and not giving KT any room to breathe. It's going to be a very tough task getting back into any sort of control here now that this snowball has really started rolling down the hill. Of course, we said that things were difficult in the past for KT, and they have found themselves some miracles, especially 3 of the players that are on this particular squad. But it's a tall order here today in this particular game.
Gumayusi, though, not giving up.
He is not. He's looking for Keria. Tidal Wave does find Def to stop the Aphelios from getting any closer. Perfect has popped the Ghost, trying to find his way in, looking for the opportunity there. Gets on top of 2, but he's still taking a lot of damage. And BDD not finding his entrance way either. No flashes available. And I like the fact that KT is still looking for it. Didn't find it on that angle, though.
That's what they got to do, but it feels like the X factor of game number 1, and we all know what it was, just isn't there, because Beryl right now playing an Enchanter, eventually Deft will become an absolute menace, but I don't think we're gonna ever see that point. This is exactly what I was afraid of. With this type of composition for T1, the mid-game acceleration generally is very tough to deal with.
Oh yeah.
And right now they're up almost 7k golds, 2 dragons. It's a relatively weak dragon, which is nice for KT. That's something. But it's got to come down to getting some of these bounties. And we saw them get a big team fight from behind in game 2. Don't forget, that did happen.
It did.
It didn't matter, but it did happen.
It'll be definitely difficult in this one, because T1 have been just fighting exactly where they need to. That's, I feel, one of the biggest things is they get that little bit of an advantage, and then immediately the first round of turrets all fall down. KT haven't even been able to get to any so far this game. And so Zeus now with his Edge of Night. 2 items now completed. He is a very happy Aatrox. Not too afraid of too much. There is at least the Iceborne Gauntlet done for Perfect. He's going to be able to punch, does have a fair bit of armor. But he's going to need a whole lot more to deal with the amount that they're going to do. And yeah, I mean, when in doubt, do Baron. As Keria just going to try and spy where everyone is. Gumayusi moving on over. Pyosik able to sidestep the bubble. As they do pull off the Baron for the moment. He's at least bought them a little bit of space here. As, all right, Pyosik just going to go in. There's the Crescent Guard to try and deliver Oner into that, I guess, amount of damage. But the shockwave is so big from Faker! And yeah, Moonlight Vigil lands, but the damage is well and truly done. Perfect trying to do what he can, but he's wondering where the heck his teammates went. They are in the death chamber, and sometimes Faker just finds it.
And KT think that T1 actually commits to the back. T1 was already fully pulled off, but I don't think they really had a way of knowing. Vision was being denied. KT didn't want to lose further grip of that game, and in trying to pull it back, they invited an unfortunate disaster in the form of that shockwave.
Yeah, another flash has to come out there as BDD gets Faker away from the inner turret. But he was just pushing up the wave. They managed to get the Baron for free. And T1 now moving ever closer to a 10,000 gold lead at 22 minutes. Shellackings after shellackings, as it turns out. It felt like this one could be closer. But every early fight goes a little bit T1's way, and then the mid-game, that is where they just destroyed them.
And this is something we saw in the bot lane fight as well. These attempts from KT to try and isolate and burst down Oner. Of all the guys on T1, that's not the one you want, but at the same time, like I don't think there's anyone else that was mispositioning that you would be able to get a play on. And now Rebel Baron power play. It's only 1,300 so far, which that's as good as it gets. It's almost 10k at 22 minutes.
Yeah.
What do you say? Not a lot.
Well, you'd say that it's not over till the Nexus falls. You can say things like that if you want to. It is a bit of a classic.
Is it true? Yes.
Yes. Is it likely that KT's Nexus is the one that falls? Yes.
It is Is it a statement with value to say that it's not over until the Nexus falls?
No, not really. Not in this game, I don't think.
I don't know. It might have entertainment value if you've heard it for the first time.
We could poll the viewers, see whether that's something that we should just take out of our repertoire. Could opt out.
Or use more of.
Or use
You
more.
don't know.
Yeah, that's
Maybe the
true.
people love it.
That's true. I'm making assumptions. I don't know.
Well, I'm assuming that they do in fact know what game state we're currently in.
Well, inner turret is going to fall. That is the last remaining one. 6-0 on turrets. KT have managed to get 2 kills so far this game. Outside of that, not much more. This Chemtech Drake, not long for the world. T1 going to get themselves to Soul Point. How consequential that is, not entirely sure. Is Perfect going to do his best to try and get himself some damage on this outer turret, but even that, he is not confident enough to stick around and see through to the end. Zeus will be able to get over here, doesn't get the cannon, but I don't think he's too worried about it. And Leandries is what BDD is looking for next here, but a 2-item spike is what he's chasing after. I mean, there is a Magi's on Faker. He's got a very cool looking gun, which is apparently a Luden's gun. I thought it was a Hextech gun, but it isn't. It's the Luden's variety. I kind of wanted to call it Hextech Echo.
You have naming rights, Atlas. You know that. I'll follow. That's what you deem it worthy to be called that. Then I will.
I'll think about it for a bit longer.
I'll follow you. Don't you worry.
Zeus still has his shield. Has some Tidecaller's Blessing following him around as well. As KT picking up the pieces of their base. Good news. They still have inhibitor turret.
Yeah, I was going to say that. That was my point. Yeah, there's no
upside, baby.
Serpent's Fang done for Guma here. Really a clear signal that
he doesn't like shields.
He does deem, in fact, that the game is over and done. And we do have double Bloodsong on either side, or rather, Bloodsong for Deft, Bloodsong for Guma. We didn't even talk about it, but I think Barrel also went Bloodsong Rakan last game, which is definitely one of the more interesting ones.
I liked Orcs telling me about Bloodsong Nautilus being cool.
But that one I get because you know.
Yeah, there's Nautilus things you can do. Yeah,
auto a lot, so like that makes sense. With Rakan, I'm like.
By the time he was making a decision as to what evolution he wanted to go for his World Atlas, I don't think the decision really held very much weight.
It did not. No, I would wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah.
So we're waiting for an objective to spawn, and then T1 will take the objective, and then at some point they will get the next Baron and push into the base.
That could even be the next objective. That will
by strict timer, it is.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, there you go. Get a bit of a timeout for 1 minute and 45 seconds. T1 are going to use this to try and get a little bit of a siege on.
Oh?
That is going to get them towards the enemy base a little bit.
They know objective pushing.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. And you can see even KT weren't quite ready for that level of proactivity.
Rally the troops to mid!
Indeed.
There is a extremely limited amount of vision available here for KT, so realistically, even someone like Perfect, who is the tankiest member on the team, isn't really able to ever gonna step up, because if he's met by Faker or Guma or even Zeus, he just kind of evaporates. So KT has no chance or nothing to do besides just catch waves in their base. Like looking at itemization breakpoints, I don't think we're particularly close against one that truly is gonna be the difference maker.
I mean, Deft getting another item is probably the most impactful.
Yeah, but I think, I don't know, he might be sitting on like 500 to 800 gold, and right now he only has a...
When we were checking in, it was about 800, but he might have actually bought the cloak after that. So.
Yeah, suffice it to say, don't think he's getting his third item before the soul is taken, but maybe you can somehow get a better
Elder Flip!
Well, that's 6 minutes in the future. I don't think we're getting there.
All right.
Yeah.
That'd be fun, though.
It
Got that
would
in the
be
Telecom
fun.
War Game 3. Whoa. That's on my Christmas list. I guess Christmas is a fair way out.
Well, I'm sure we'll get what's on your Christmas list at some point.
An Elder Flip? Heck yeah.
Not right now, though.
It's not feeling like it. As Perfect not going to get bubbled. Is KT looking a bit frisky with their positioning.
They have to. Once Baron is gone, the game is basically gone no matter what. But all summoners are available, right? And we joke around a lot, but realistically, who do you try and engage on here? Lucian is mega mobile. Keria's positioning very defensively. Faker still has flash available and is such a big threat. And is Baron about to be gone? All or nothing for KT.
Yeah, and they do manage to get some vision around here as Purchik takes so much damage here from Gumayusi. Testing their new items, and look at this Baron. It's already very close to going down, and I don't think Pioshik will be able to get in there. They do manage to secure it, and now Gumayusi looking for even more. Good fire kick to interrupt the culling. As in goes PDD, finds 3, but there's no one else there. No one's in the vicinity, and he's taken down. My God, this Zeus damage is absurd. And it's a decent little attempt there. A last breath, perhaps, from KT, but T1, they snuffed them out, and now they're looking to clear up this base and claim the first telecom war of 2024 as their own.
And it was a rough start for T1 in game number 1, getting taken down by KT. But game 2 and game 3, even though this one wasn't as fast, a completely different story.
I think the emotional damage of this particular game was higher.
It's worse.
Yeah, game